These cute little prayer plants is Maranta leuconeura silver band, which is a type of cultivar of Maranta leuconeura, which is a type of prayer plant, and leuconeura means white veins, although you can't really see white veins on this particular cultivar, but that's common because as you start to see different cultivated varieties or different forms of these plants, they start to deviate actually from their scientific names. Now, this one I particularly love because some of the new growth, and I don't know if you could actually see it because some of the new growth has been, is not coming in quite readily, but it has this kind of blushing, purple color to it, and has those kind of traditional purple undersides that you would see in the prayer plant family. And again, prayer plants are the ones that kind of like fold down and fold up, so it's kind of a cool feature. And scientists are actually not quite sure even why it does that. There's some, stipulation as to, there's some kind of ideas and theories that they might have, but we actually don't know for sure. There's so much that we actually don't know from the plant world. Now, these are a little bit more finicky. I find Maranta to be a little less finicky than Calathea, and a little bit more finicky than a Tenanthe, for example, which are all in the prayer plant family. But they have a little bit thinner leaves, and I'm going to point out some here that have a little bit of crispy edges and some brown crispiness at the top of them. And again, this could be for a variety of different reasons. If you have any kind of inconsistent watering with these, if you have fertilizer buildup, if you have a lack of humidity, then these plants will start to get these little scars, these little battle wounds. And in this one in particular, this one I have about 2.5 feet away from my southwest facing window, but it's not getting direct light. And I totally forgot to water it, for a week, because usually I'm watering these every, probably 2 to 3 times a week, depending on if it's in the summer. And the plant was super wilty and had some of these brown spots. So I didn't even know if it would actually bounce back, but lo and behold, it did. And part of the reason for that is because Maranta, if you've ever removed them from their soil interface, actually have some tuberous roots. So sometimes they could even die back completely and will sprout up again. So that is, one of the benefits about Maranta. You'll notice kind of this cigar-shaped new leaf kind of coming out, and you'll see one, back here as well. And this is typical of how Maranta unfolds. And scientists believe that it's not like any kind of pest pressure, and I know this for a fact because my pet chicken Kippy will totally eat the leaves of these plants if they're rolled out, but she won't eat the ones that are rolled up like a cigar. So I think that's probably a really good theory from that standpoint. Like I mentioned, that these plants like to be in high humidity and they also like to be well watered. So I would say maybe have it less of a well-draining mix, because if it can maintain a little bit more of that water, I think this plant would actually be happy. I do have this plant in a terracotta pot, but I also have one in a glazed ceramic. And generally the glazed ceramic will actually maintain the water a little bit more, unless you have the terracotta pot on a humidity mat like I do for some of my plants in my closet garden, because it's porous and will actually take some of the water up. As far as fertilizing goes, I'd be a little bit more gentle on the fertilizer. Maybe use an organic fertilizer, or if you're using a synthetic fertilizer, do a well-balanced one and cut it in half. So if you're going 10-10-10, or I would say go with a more organic fertilizer just to be a little bit gentler on this plant, because it is sensitive to that salt buildup, and it's super sensitive to salt buildup in water. So if you could give this more of a distilled water and rely on those kind of micro and macronutrients through your fertilizer, then I think that's probably going to be better in the long run for these particular plants. You might actually see that this one is starting to grow down a little bit, and that is super customary in these plants. They will maintain kind of a little bit more of a compact growth and then start to hang down, almost like as if it would be kind of like a good hanging basket plant as it gets a little bit older. I've had this plant now for probably 2.5 years, And I liked it so much, I ended up getting another little one. So I've only had this one for a little less than a year. But I really love this cultivated variety. And if you're able to find it online, I got mine personally from Steve's Leaves. So if you could find any others growing it, then I would definitely swipe this plant up.